You want respect? Then stop sabotaging yourself. Let's be honest, most people don't lose respect because they're incapable or unworthy. They lose it because of the quiet habits that erode their self-worth from the inside out. I'm not talking about surface-level fixes. I'm talking about a radical shift in how you live, because respect isn't something you beg for. It's something you command, not by being agreeable, not by saying yes to everyone, and definitely not by explaining away your shortcomings. Respect starts with who you are, not just what you do. I learned this lesson the hard way. For years, I thought if I was nice enough, helpful enough, flexible enough, people would value me more. But all that really did, it made me invisible. People saw me as easy to overlook, easy to dismiss, and eventually easy to disrespect. Why? Because I was holding onto habits that betrayed my own self-respect. Habits like always making excuses, constantly seeking validation, or saying yes when I really wanted to say no. I remember wondering, why don't people take me seriously? Why am I always the one left behind, ignored, or overlooked? It wasn't until I started eliminating those self-sabotaging behaviors that everything began to shift. And no, it didn't happen overnight. But when I stopped living for approval and started living with self-respect, that's when the world finally began to reflect that respect back at me. Here's the real truth no one wants to hear. Respect doesn't come from others. It starts with how you treat yourself. If you keep tolerating your own bad habits, so will everyone else. So let's start with one of the worst culprits. Habit number 1. Always making excuses. Let me be real with you. Making excuses is the quickest way to kill respect, both from others and from yourself. We've all done it. You're late, but hey, it was traffic. You missed a deadline, but your co-worker didn't send you the info. You didn't hit your goal, but life just got in the way. Sounds reasonable, right? Here's the brutal reality. Nobody cares. Not really. People don't respect explanations. They respect execution. There was a time in my life when excuses were my second language. Late to meetings, traffic, didn't deliver results, too many responsibilities. And I thought as long as my reasons were valid, I was off the hook. But slowly, I noticed something disturbing. People stopped trusting me. Friends stopped relying on me. My boss gave opportunities to others. Even my family started quietly expecting less. That's when it hit me. Excuses don't make you look accountable. They make you look unreliable, weak, out of control. Because no matter how good your excuse is, the outcome is still the same. You weren't where you were supposed to be. And that's on you. When I finally looked in the mirror and admitted that truth, it was like a slap in the face. I wasn't losing respect because the world was unfair. I was losing respect because I was letting myself off the hook over and over again. Here's a mindset shift that changed my life. The world doesn't care about your excuses. It respects accountability. And it rewards those who own their results, not those who deflect them. So if you're ready to be respected by others and by yourself, start here. Kill your excuses. All of them. Because every excuse you make is a small vote for the weaker version of yourself. And trust me, respect can't grow in the shadow of excuses. So once I stopped making excuses and started owning my actions, something surprising happened. People began to trust me again. They could sense the change. My energy shifted. My words carried more weight. And why? Because I had finally started respecting myself. I remember a moment that still echoes in my mind. I had just shown up late again and offered my usual excuse about traffic. But this time, someone simply asked, "Why didn't you leave earlier?" It hit me like a punch to the gut. Not because they were rude, but because they were right. That question shattered my illusion. Every excuse I made wasn't just a defense, it was an admission. I was telling the world, I'm not responsible for my own life. And let me ask you this. How can anyone respect you if you don't take responsibility for yourself? Excuses are more than just words. They're a mindset, a dangerous one. They keep you trapped in a victim mentality, constantly shifting blame to traffic, time, other people, anything but yourself. But here's the truth. The moment you stop making excuses and start owning your mistakes, everything begins to shift. That's what happened to me. When I stopped hiding behind reasons and started facing situations head-on without deflecting. Without sugarcoating, people began to see me differently. They saw a man who was accountable, a man who was growing. And you know what's wild? People are far more forgiving when you own your mess without spin. Instead of saying, "Sorry I'm late, traffic was bad," say, "That's on me, I should've left earlier. I'll do better next time." That kind of honesty commands more respect than any polished excuse ever could. Because it's not about being perfect. It's about being responsible. Here's the real takeaway. Before anyone can respect you, you have to stop lying to yourself. Every time you make an excuse, you're reinforcing the belief that you're not in control. And if you don't believe you're in control, why would anyone else believe in you? Respect is built on reliability, accountability, and self-respect. And excuses? They slowly rot all three. So the next time you feel that excuse forming in your mind, pause, catch it, own the moment, and move forward with clarity. It's not an easy habit to break. But once you start being honest with yourself, once you start taking full ownership of your life, you'll be amazed at how quickly respect follows. Now, let's talk about habit 2, laziness. If you're lazy, let's not sugarcoat it, no one will respect you. And they shouldn't. I know that sounds harsh, but it's the truth. You can have all the talent in the world. You might be the smartest, most gifted person in the room. But if you do nothing with it, if you don't act, it's meaningless. People don't respect potential. They respect effort. Laziness is the ultimate sign of wasted potential. And I should know, I used to think I could coast through life just because I was smart enough to get by. I do the bare minimum and still get decent results. I thought that was enough. But here's the catch. No one truly respected me for it. Sure, people might say things like, "He's talented," but deep down, they didn't trust me to show up. They didn't rely on me. They didn't respect me. Because laziness isn't a lack of ability, it's a lack of effort. And effort is what earns you a place in people's respect. One memory still stings. I was part of a group project. Everyone was putting in time, showing up, giving their all, except me. I figured I could coast, chime in here and there, let others carry the weight. But when it came time to present, the difference was obvious. Everyone's work showed. Mine didn't. And the looks they gave me afterward, not angry, not loud, just disappointed, subtly, but undeniably. They didn't need to say a word. I knew I had lost their respect. And it wasn't just about that one project. It was about me, about what I had chosen to not do. Because laziness is visible. You might think no one notices when you slack off, but they do. They always do. So let's be clear, laziness doesn't just damage your reputation. It drags everything around you down. And worst of all, it's visible. Even when you think you're flying under the radar, people notice. They see when you're not pulling your weight. They notice when you're cutting corners, when you're avoiding the hard stuff, when you're quietly letting others carry the load. And over time, they stop expecting anything from you. And that, right there, is the death of respect. Because when people no longer expect you to contribute, to put in effort, or to grow, they stop seeing you as valuable. They might not say it out loud, but it shows in how they treat you, in how they exclude you from real opportunities, and in how they stop trusting you with responsibility. Here's the deeper truth. Laziness is not just a bad habit, it's a form of self-sabotage. It's not always about being tired or unmotivated. It's about a mindset that tells you, I can get by without giving my best. But every time you give in to laziness, you're making a silent decision to stay small. You're choosing comfort over growth. And ask yourself, when was the last time anyone truly respected comfort? I used to think I was being clever by taking the easy way out. Save energy here, avoid stress there. Smart, right, wrong. Because success doesn't care how smart you are. It cares how hard you're willing to work, how often you show up, and how much discomfort you're willing to endure. The people who are respected, they're the ones who grind through resistance. They tackle difficult tasks. They take action even on days they don't feel like it. Laziness is the opposite of that. It signals you're not willing to push yourself. And if you won't push yourself, why would anyone else put their trust in you? You can't hide laziness. It leaks out in everything. In the way you carry yourself, in how you speak about your goals or don't, in how you react to challenges with delay, excuses, or avoidance. People can sense when you're coasting. They know when you're not giving your all. And the respect they once had, it fades. So let me put it plainly, if you're lazy, don't expect to be trusted. Don't expect people to look to you for leadership or depend on you when it matters most. Because they won't, and honestly, they shouldn't. Now, that brings us to habit 3, neglecting your personal appearance. This one might make some people uncomfortable, but it needs to be said. How you present yourself matters more than you think. I know the argument. People should respect me for who I am, not how I look. Sure, in a perfect world, that would be true. But in the real world, your appearance is often the first message you send about who you are. And whether you realize it or not, it reflects your level of self-respect. I used to be the kind of person who thought grooming and dress didn't matter. I'd roll out of bed, throw on whatever wasn't too wrinkled, and tell myself I was being real or authentic. But in truth, I was just being lazy. And you know what? It showed. People didn't take me seriously. I didn't command respect. In meetings, I didn't walk into a room and own it. I just blended in, or worse, got overlooked. Then came the wake-up call. I remember walking into an important event, messy hair, wrinkled clothes, no attention to detail, and I could feel it the moment I stepped in. The vibe I gave off was crystal clear. I don't care. And guess what? That's how I was treated. Meanwhile, the people who took time to groom themselves, who dressed with intention, who showed they respected themselves, they were the ones who were heard, trusted, and remembered. That day, it hit me hard. Neglecting my appearance wasn't just about me. It was affecting how everyone around me perceived my worth. Respect doesn't start with how others treat you. It starts with how you treat yourself. So if how you look shapes how you're treated, then how you respect others shapes how you're remembered. And few things destroy that respect faster than crossing someone's boundaries. Habitful, let's talk about something many people overlook, but absolutely need to hear. Boundaries are not suggestions, they're essential. When you ignore someone's boundaries, even with good intentions, you're sending a dangerous message. Your comfort, your space, your limits, they don't matter to me. And that's how respect gets lost in a blink. I learned this the hard way. There was a time I truly believed that being involved in every detail of people's lives, offering advice they didn't ask for, constantly checking in, always inserting my opinion was a sign that I cared. I thought I was being a good friend, a supportive teammate, even a helpful mentor. But here's the reality. What I saw as caring, others saw as overstepping. And they were right. What I failed to realize is that respecting someone means respecting their limits. It means understanding that not everyone wants your input. Not everyone wants you in their business, even when your heart is in the right place. If you're crossing emotional or physical lines, they won't feel safe with you. They'll feel suffocated, disrespected, or even manipulated. Let me ask you this. Have you ever had someone constantly interrupt your space, offer opinions you didn't ask for, or try to fix you when all you wanted was to be heard? It's frustrating, right? It makes you pull away, even from people who might mean well. That's exactly what happens when you ignore boundaries. People begin to associate you with discomfort. They don't feel seen or heard, they feel invaded. The deep truth is this: respecting boundaries isn't just about avoiding conflict. It's about acknowledging the humanity of others. It's about saying, I see you, I hear you, and I respect where you end and I begin. Once I learned that, everything changed. I stopped giving advice unless I was asked. I stopped checking in obsessively. I started asking questions like, would it be okay if I shared something? Instead of assuming people wanted my input. And the shift in how people responded to me was undeniable. I wasn't just being liked, I was being respected. Because people knew I valued them, not just their problems. Here's the bottom line. If you ignore boundaries, people will begin to build walls. But if you honor boundaries, people will open doors. Respect isn't just earned through action, it's preserved through restraint. So if you want to build deeper, stronger, more respectful relationships, stop pushing. Start listening, start asking, and always pay attention to the signals people are sending. Boundaries aren't barriers, they're bridges. Learn how to walk them with care, and you'll go much farther than you ever could by forcing your way through. So, as we've learned, when you respect people's space, they respect you in return. But when you ignore those limits, trust breaks. And once that trust is gone, so is the respect. There was a time in my life when I didn't fully understand this. I thought being involved meant calling every day, texting constantly, offering advice even when no one asked. I told myself I was being supportive, but in truth I was suffocating the people around me. One friend in particular began pulling away, and I couldn't figure out why. We were close, or so I thought. Then one day, she finally said, I just need some space. It feels like you don't understand that. That moment hit me hard. Not because she was wrong, but because she was absolutely right. I had crossed her boundaries, unintentionally, but consistently, and by doing so, I lost her trust and her respect. Here's the truth. Boundaries aren't walls to shut you out. They're doors with locks. When someone closes it, it's not rejection, it's protection. They're trying to preserve their mental, emotional, or physical well-being. And when we ignore those signals, what we're really saying is, my needs matter more than your comfort. Let me ask you this: who respects someone like that? Let's dig deeper. Disregarding boundaries doesn't just make you pushy, it shows a complete misunderstanding of what respect actually means. Respect isn't about being overly nice. It's about honoring a person's autonomy, understanding that they have every right to say no, to pull back, or to protect their space without guilt. Once I understood that, everything changed. Instead of chasing people, I gave them space. Instead of offering unsolicited advice, I waited to be invited in. And here's the surprising part. When I started doing less, people trusted me more. Relationships got deeper. The respect came back. And it came not from forcing connection, but from allowing it to happen on its own terms. This applies in the workplace too. Maybe you're always pinging a co-worker for updates when they prefer to work independently. Or maybe your boss values concise communication, but you flood their inbox with unnecessary details. That's not being thorough. That's overstepping, and people notice when you disrespect someone's boundaries. You're not just annoying them, you're showing them you don't value their time, energy, or preferences. And that's how you quietly lose respect bit by bit. Here's the deeper truth. Boundaries don't ruin relationships. They protect them. They're not there to shut people out. They're there to make people feel safe with you, around you, and because of you. Every time you ignore a boundary, you chip away at the trust that holds a relationship together. And without trust, there can be no respect. So, what can you do? Start paying attention. Listen when someone says, I need space. Or even when they don't say it directly, but show it through distance or silence. Don't take it personally. Take it as an opportunity to grow. Because when you show people you can respect their boundaries, something amazing happens. They begin to respect you more, too. They see you as someone safe, someone aware, someone strong, enough to honor limits, and that's powerful. Now, let's talk about something that destroys respect just as fast, if not faster. Habit 5. Taking credit for someone else's work. Let's dive into that next. So now you know respect isn't just about boundaries. It's about integrity, too. And few things destroy it faster than stealing credit that isn't yours. Let me be real with you. I've lived this mistake early. In my career, I was eager to stand out, to make an impression. During a team project, I contributed. Sure, but one colleague truly went the extra mile. When it came time to present our results, I subtly shifted the story to highlight my own involvement. I didn't outright lie, but I made sure the spotlight landed on me. And at first, it worked. I got compliments, recognition, attention. It felt amazing until it didn't, because the truth always comes out. That colleague noticed. Then others started noticing, too. And what had once been admiration quickly turned into doubt and disappointment. That moment taught me something I never forgot. Respect isn't earned through shortcuts. It's earned through honesty, humility, and fairness. Let's go deeper. When you take credit for someone else's effort, what you're really saying is, I don't trust my own ability enough to stand on my own. It's not a show of confidence, it's a mask for fear. You may think you're winning, but in reality, you're building a reputation no one admires. Over time, people notice. They stop trusting you. They stop collaborating with you. They distance themselves because deep down, they know you're not playing fair. I've seen talented people lose promotions, friendships, even their careers, all because they couldn't give credit where it was due. And once you're labeled as someone who steals the spotlight, it's a hard stain to wash off. Let's be honest, when you take away someone's recognition, you're not just taking credit, you're robbing them of dignity, of the joy that comes from being seen and valued. Think about it. Would you respect someone who looked you in the eye and said, "Your effort doesn't matter as much as my ambition"? Of course not. Because that's not strength, that's betrayal. Now here's the good news. You can change. If you've made this mistake, own it. Apologize. Give credit where it's due. Start practicing the kind of leadership that lifts others up instead of tearing them down. When you give credit, you don't lose anything, you gain trust. You show confidence in your own role while honoring those who helped you get there. And people notice that. They respect that. True success isn't about being the loudest in the room. It's about being the one others trust when they're not in the room. The one who leads with fairness. The one who earns respect, not demands it. So, if you're on this path, if you're working every day to become more grounded, more disciplined, more honorable, then you're in the right place. Follow Stoic Capsule for more powerful truths like this. Like, share, and subscribe if this message resonated with you. And remember, real strength isn't about chasing applause. It's about becoming someone worth respecting. We've got more life-changing insights coming soon. Until then, stay focused, stay humble, and keep walking the path of wisdom.